Today on the show, we are talking about men. Yes.
The Something Else Podcast.
So, yes, I want to talk about men today, and not in that way. Let me explain. I was having a read of the old news, right? And it was talking about the trans community. I'll just cut to it. And what I'm about to say is my opinion, right? I'm not going to throw statistics out because I just can't be bothered with statistics, right? This is just how I feel, things I've been through, and people I know that have been through. Because for the majority of men, we're all the same, let's be honest. So, I just want to start by saying I don't have anything against the trans community. Like transgender, anyway. Don't get me started with trans species, that's bullshit. Don't get me started on transabled, that's fucking immoral. And do not get me started on transracial. Just don't, because them ones are not real. Transgender I can get my head around, but the rest of them can fuck off, right? Now, like I said, I'm not dissing. I don't know if I've ever fucking said that. I'm not shitting on anyone here. It's just, I believe a man is a man, a woman is a woman, yeah? And I'm one of those ones that say, what was you born as? That's what you are, right? Because I don't care what you go through physically, you will still be what you was. And like I said, it's going to piss people off, but it's just my opinion. And I've made some notes in the older Pokedex notebook. Because there's characteristics of a man that a trans man, now is a trans man someone who's now a man? Because they won't have these characteristics, they can probably develop them. But I was reading some articles, talking to some people, and a couple of things got mentioned. I was like, you know what, that is so true. And my logic is, I'm going to use sports, not saying that, a biological male versus a trans man. I'm not saying anything about that. My point is, if an athlete has to use performance enhancement drugs, so PEDs, to dominate, are they really good at being an athlete? Yeah. So if some woman was to have a vagina turn into a cock and take testosterone and grow her armpit hair and fucking have her tits cut off, does that make her a man? That's my logic. And like I said, there's things that a biological man, most of us, in generality, we will go through that no one really will go through, like no non-man. Even though I've got notes, this is going all over the shop. So, like I said, I'm not crapping on anyone, but at the same time, I think the same rule should apply for the heterosexual market. Now, that whole community don't like labels. Don't label me this, I am not a man. Yet they will freely and are allowed to label people like me a cis male, as they say it. And I'm like, I'm not a cis male. I'm me. I'm Ben. When was that not enough? You know what I mean? And I think it's got to go two ways. Because at the moment, is it in Canada where you legally have to refer to someone by their preferred pronouns? That's a bit wrong to me. Like, be whatever you want to be, but don't force it on me. No, that's your choice, not mine. But I just think it's a two-way thing. If you want to be respected, respect me. Vice versa. That's how I've always seen it. Show me respect, I'll give you some respect back. But like I said, I've got some notes, and I'm just going to go through things that the average man will go through. So I've put, men, typically, we don't see a long plan. No. If you look at the genetics of man, dating all the way back to God knows when, obviously, a lot's changed now because we don't necessarily go out to hunt for the food or protect the family. But we don't see the long plan. We live day by day because that's how it was. You know what I mean? We provided, we went out. We provided, we went out. That sort of thing. Most of the time, and again, this is just talking to people I know, most of the time, men don't want to get married. They don't want kids because it's not in our biology to want that. You know what I mean? It's like most of the time men do that because the woman wants to do it. Yeah. So we just go along with it because we're short plan. We don't think, in the moment we're like, yeah, get your dick out, get it wet, sort of thing. Boom, have some children. We don't think, fuck, I've got to live with that for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Shit, I've gone through that. I've got 2 amazing children. Never really wanted them. Now I have them. I mean, that sounds well. Now I have them. I love them to pieces. But it was really because that's what my wife wanted. I wrote here, we're spur of the moment. Most of the time we're keeping ourselves occupied. We have hobbies. Obviously, back in the day, we'd go hunting or, stuff like that. But for instance, for me, I do the podcast, so I'm getting back into it. I do YouTube. I play in a band. I do woodwork. Sounds sexist, but men are practical. We don't really offer anything. I say emotionally. I'll get to emotions in a minute. But we are so... We can't sit still. We're spur of the moment. We need to do something. We don't grow up. We grow old, let's be honest. What else have I got? I'll put here, most of the time we do stuff just for the female. And that's just to keep them. So if they want to go out for a nice dinner, we'll go out for a nice dinner because that's what they want to do. Because talking to some people, most of the time, no one cares what we want to do. I work in an environment full of women. They couldn't give 2 shits about what I like because it's not what they're into. But when I've gone to settings where there's other men, boom, it's like brothers. Probably shouldn't have said bum when talking about men. But anyway, we become more bonded. One of the places I go to has got one other male practitioner there, and we're like brothers, you know what I mean? We are bonded. But the rest of the team, I'm going to say women are bitchy, they're two-faced, and I don't trust them. I've got 4 sisters, a wife, I work in a female-dominated environment, and I generally just keep myself to myself now because you can't say anything because it hurts their feelings. But, just the joys of being a man. Another thing, we are selfish. Because we're always doing something. We don't think about other people. We want to do what we want to do. And again, I think that comes down to how we used to be I'm going to take these headphones off. I think that's how it used to be going from the primitive days, the caveman days. Because we would be doing stuff. We'd be going out. We'd be hunting. We weren't staying at home looking after children. I've wrote underneath this that women settle. Now, I just said before, men don't grow up, right? We don't. For instance, I'm 34 years old. I'm drinking out of a Rick Sanchez cup. On my shelf in front of me, I have toys and a fucking Funko Pop. I can't get my head around them. But I've got all these childish things around me. And the thing is, women do settle. A woman's biological clock is completely different to a man's. And this is where I'm getting at with the whole trans kind of community. Yeah, maybe mentally you should have been. You think you're that. But do you have the characteristics? Because I always hear, and it's these debates with was it Ben Shapiro or something like that, and Charlie Kirk, and it's like, what is a woman? And I'm like, to me, a woman is obviously someone born with the genetics of a female, XX sort of thing. They have tits and a vagina. They're curvy, birthing hips, that sort of thing. They have all these characteristics, but they're also someone that can provide a maternal instinct. Someone who's fucking grown up, let's be honest. Because no one ever asks, what's a man? You know what I mean? And yes, like, the genome of it, we have a cock and balls, that sort of thing. We're generally broader and everything. But that's not what it is. It's not just about that. And I think this is where the grey area of the whole trans thing is confusing because they want to join a side. Let's be honest, they're joining a side. But they want to blur the line. Because wasn't there a thing, and I think I've spoke about this before on the show, there was a TikTok viral thing, and it was this, hang on, what was it? It was a trans woman, so a man becoming a woman, right, who was having menstrual cramps, or period cramps. Last time I checked, men can't get those. Some men can lactate from their tits if they're big enough, because we develop the glands. But that's because, that Why do men have nipples? That's the thing. Because we were fucking born as women. So if anyone gets to choose what they want to be, it's men. But my point is, our reproductive system, our organs aren't the same as a woman. So we can't get period cramps. We can get a sweet pain in the nads, but no. And you know what else? Just changing subject. Women say birth is the most painful thing in the world. I beg to fucking differ. Being kicked in your bollocks is worse. You know why? I'm going to give you some insight here. It's way worse because women always say, oh, how heavy was it? Oh, it was this heavy. Oh, would you do it again? Oh, I'd love to have another baby. You never hear a man say, I'd love to be kicked in the bastard nuts, will you? Facts. But let's get back to this. So we spoke about how women settle. Obviously men don't. We tend to just stay the same. My dad was exactly the same. I can imagine from when he first met my mom. You know, he just buggered off and did his own thing, building stuff or just playing darts. You know what I mean? It's just that thing. I've put we are single-minded and we are simple. I'm really putting this in a broad way. Men need a few things. We need space somewhere. Like, for instance, I'm always in my garage. It's my space. You know, I like my space. It's full, but, you know, I've got my tools and my RC cars. I told you I was a child. You know, there's a part over where you can't see. Well, it's full of shit because we need to sort it out. But generally, we need some space. We need our entertainment, which is generally a console or something we're into. We need sustenance, food and drink, and something that men constantly get ridiculed for. And again, this is average in general. Something we're always moaned at, but let's look at it in the genetics of it. We want sex, right? Because if you look at it in the whole kind of large picture sort of thing, we are organisms, yeah? We are made to reproduce. Yeah, we're the only kind of living bloody animal that reproduces and destroys things. Anyway, that's our job. We are there to impregnate and then have families, grow the human race, right? Yet, I don't think most women understand just how important intimacy is to a man. It's not just a case of, oh, we want some fun. It's a lot of biological men, I'll put it that way. Our love language is touch, is physicality. So, you know, a cuddle or, you know, a kiss or something does a lot more for a man than it does for a woman. And I think that's overlooked. So let's talk about some emotions with that one. I'm a 90s baby, so, you know, I think my generation, it was where it started to be, you know, it's all right to cry, go on, it's fine. But you did it in your own time, yeah? And I think men now are in a case where it's like they don't know what's acceptable. Like, I work in a female-dominated environment, and when I lost my dad, I kept breaking down. Now, I don't like breaking down in front of anyone, but to do it in front of a room full of people that genuinely don't know how to treat you because you're a man. Does he want a cuddle? Does he want this? It's kind of soul-destroying. Or like when, like Employee of the Month. If I win it, I generally just get like a Starbucks card. I'm like, where's my flowers? I want some flowers and chocolates. I fucking love flowers. It makes me sneeze, but I like them. But I'm a man. I don't get flowers. And I think that's where it's wrong because it's, you know, boys don't cry. Yeah, we fucking do. We just do it in our own way, our own time. And I think with men, real men, biological men, we react on impulse. We generally bottle things up, which is fine. But it's our way of coping. And the thing that women don't get is we will face things by ourselves. We do it, you know, solo because we don't want to drag anyone else into it. It's my problem. I'll sort it out. And most of my mates are exactly the same. One of my mates was in like tons of debt and he was like, I'll fucking go in this head first. And for a couple of months, he was just a bit like, you know, he went right and he was just sorting some stuff out. You know, he said to his missus, like, don't worry, I'm fine. And she left him. She didn't ask why. She didn't even, you know, she just didn't do anything for him. She just saw that he was in a mood all the time. She's like, no, fuck you then. And left him. And you know what? It ruined him. It really did. He managed to clear all the debt he was in. And then what was he left with? He was left with no home because he had to get out. So he had to then go and find a place which put him in debt. And now he has to pay fucking child support. And it weren't even his choice. All because, we don't want to drag people. It's like, I'm married. I've been married for, fucking 8 years this year. Jesus Christ. I've been with Sam since 2009. So 16 years? And I think I just get to a point now where I'm just used to doing my own thing the way I want to do it. And we're two very different people. And I think the longer you're with someone, they realize how, the longer you're with someone, you realize just how completely different you are. And that's why I spend most of my time in here. We've been together for like 16 years. We've got fuck all to talk about. We spend every day with each other and with the children. I don't want to settle down. I never wanted any of this. I just want to do stuff. You know what I mean? And when I look at people around me, like men around me, they're exactly the same, where they don't know how to feel. It's almost like whatever we do is wrong. So we just stop. And it's that classic phrase. It is what it is. And I think it's probably the most dangerous phrase I've heard, because I say it all the time, because I know I've given up. I have, I've accepted it. Like when my dad died, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll do what I can. If it ain't enough, fuck him. And that's where I'm at now. Like, nothing could faze me. You know what I mean? Sam could leave me, wouldn't faze me. Lose my job, it wouldn't faze me. I'm at that point now where I don't care. And a lot of men get to that point. But you know what's really cool? We mask it really well because no one needs to see it. Chester Bennington, for instance, Linkin Park. One of the last photos of him alive was him and his family smiling. Next thing you know, he died. It's insane. It's all because men having emotions is not allowed. Women mock us for having emotions. But the biggest problem, and the irony of this, is it's men's problem. We make it a problem. For instance, I shouldn't be feeling like this. This is, I shouldn't be crying. You're a man, you shouldn't be doing that. You should man up, sort of thing. And we put more pressure on ourselves to be the bigger man, to provide for the family, to be there for the family. I hate playing with children. I work with the fuckers. I don't want to come home and play with them, but I do. And it stresses me out. But I do it. Men will go through fucking hell on earth to be with their families, to make people happy. And then all we want is that 5 minutes peace where we can just let all that emotional freaking tension disappear. And that's why we need that person next to us. That's why we need someone to talk to. But no one really wants to talk to us, do they? Because we're men. Trans men really want to be this side? What else have I got? Actually, moving on, I have put generations, like my generation, we don't talk much about how we feel. Because I've put here, it's a sign of weakness, Women gossip. You all fucking gossip, right? Men don't. For instance, I'll see my best mate, Robert. I'll see him. We could be out for about 4 hours. We haven't spoke about anything apart from what we want to do. Like, we both do videography. Well, he's a wicked videographer. I'm kind of learning the ropes. So we won't talk about how we've been, how's life, how's this, how's that. It's, let's go and do this. We don't talk. It's like there's drama in my family. I couldn't be bothered with it. It's too much. But the best thing is, and this is two ways now, women don't talk either. Now, from experience, this is true. Because personally, I've got to a point where I just don't care. If something's playing on my mind, I'll let it play on my mind and then it'll go. Because I really don't care. Whereas women just don't talk. You can see there's something wrong, but if I say, what's wrong? I'm the fucking problem then. Because I'm asking what's wrong. It's almost like we've got to be mind readers. Fucking mind readers. And again, that's why men don't talk, and that's why we get frowned upon, and that's why we get angry. The thing is, with men, we respond on emotion of all things, even though I just said that's, whatever. And I think it's just a case of we know how we cope. Women think they know us, but they fucking don't. What else have I got in the Pokedex? I mean, this is going all over the shop. So I put, as the ideology of life moves on, everything changes except for men, or for man, which is true, which goes back down to like the whole nesting and settling down. we've been together. I'll use my life as an example. I really wish I started this podcast stuff, the band stuff, the fucking um the YouTube stuff way earlier because I'm 34 now. There's no reason why I can't achieve what I want to achieve. But I'm 34 now. And I've got to juggle all this around a job I can't stand, as well as raising 2 children. In my eyes, by the time the youngest is 18, what's the point? You know what I mean? And this is where I'm at now. And a lot of us men, we're very single-minded, very kind of short-term. But we do have dreams and we want to chase these dreams. We want to become big. We want to do all these fancy things, but we can't because we made choices trying to please other people. And it don't work. And I think this is something I've struggled with, and it's accepting that things do change. Losing my dad, that was weird. Siblings growing old, I'm like, fuck, we're not the young people we used to be. Having children, watching them grow every day, I'm like, I don't want to miss any part of it. But at the same time, I want my life. You know what I mean? Selfish again, but, I've only got it once. And that's when we do feel vulnerable. Because we don't feel good enough. Like, I work in a really shit paid job. Like, in the UK, if you work in, like, the education sector, especially, like, primary and early years, it's fucking horrendous pay, especially in the private setting, because you get paid minimum wage. And you men don't realise just how much stuff gets impacted. Like, I've made some awful choices, and they still catch up with me. Like, I've never killed anyone, I've cheated or anything. But it's... my choices have impacted everything, and that's what I don't like. Like, if I want to move, if I want to leave my job, I've got to think about it because it affects where my daughter goes. It affects everything. I'm like, then I'm the problem, and I'm like, I just want to be happy. All men, all we want is to be happy, and most of us die not happy because we did everything for everyone else and not for us. What have I wrote here? Not good enough. We become a shell of ourselves, of who we are. And I do think, personally for me, I know I'm a shell of my former self. My confidence is at an all-time low. I don't care most of the time. I'm unhappy with silly things. Like I said, I don't want to play with my children. I work with them. I don't want to play with them. And then to top it off for me, I'm freaking bloody ill and everything at the minute. My back's playing up. As of this recording, I'm soon to be getting a scan and an MRI, like an X-ray sort of thing. And then my sternum costochondritis, I think it's called, that's fucked up again. But it's the one thing a real man will always have is the weird grit, the weird kind of determination. We grit and bear. We won't stop. And I think that's where the trans community is different. Because I've seen all the videos, like, where a trans man acting like, Mr. Big Dick and all that. And that's not what a man is. Like, I'm all up for, equality and equity, But to be a man, it's a weird thing. Because we've got it easy. We never had to fight for anything. I never had to fight for rights or to vote or this or that. But at the same time, our biggest battle is up here. We are our own battle. And the trans community is blurring that lines. Because it's like with women. Something silly like sanitary towels. I don't know what you call them in America. The pad you put in your knickers when you're fucking bleeding everywhere every month. That is a woman product. Not a trans woman product. That is a woman's product. I've got no fucking need for that. You know what I mean? I'm never going to need them. But a real woman would. It's like with men. It's to feel good. Like, I'm bald, I got a pretty sweet beard. But when I used to shave, I would always buy like Wilkinson sword, a proper razor, Gillette if you will. And then Gillette's got Venus, which is the women's one. Do you know why? Because women's skin is different, yeah? Obviously, it's hormonal. but they've got those moisturising pads on there so it don't fucking rip your legs to pieces. But men, our skin, we're like fucking rhinos, man. Our skin's tough. And I think my overall problem with the whole trans community is I see life as black and white. Yeah? That's how I see it. There's no middle ground. It's yes or no. There's a reason it's called binary. It's literally 1 and 0. You know what they represent? A cock and a vagina. It's literally that simple. So it's, for me, this whole trans thing, if that's what you believe, then go for it. Just stop taking it away from us. Not just men, but for women. I know this is kind of off on a tangent and more of a moan, but I just feel in the UFC, right? There's a fighter called MVP, Michael Venom Page. I never used to like him because he's an arrogant cunt. I'll be honest. He's brilliant at fighting. He's just arrogant. But when he just did his last fight, which I'm chuffed he won, whenever they do their name card, it's got their name and then he has a flag of their nationality. He doesn't have one, and he's British, right? He's English, but he was like he belongs to one race, the human race, and that really resonated because that's what I believe. Yeah, we're all around the world, but we're the same breed. You know, we're cut from the same cloth. And I think what people are forgetting, and I feel this is the way it's going to go, what people are forgetting is that we are just the same. You know, it doesn't matter the colour, the language, where you're from, we are the same. And making these divisions is just making it worse. That's how I see it. Like, I don't care if you want to be a man, just don't fucking make it like... One of my mates, right, came out as gay a long time ago. And they made it a problem. I knew they were gay. They didn't take any of my advances, so I knew they were gay. But it was the fact that it was like, they came out through MSN Messenger, fucking hell, showing me age, yeah. And like, oh, I'm gay. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Then they're like, is it going to be a problem? I was like, are you fucking threatening me now? I was like, I don't care if you're gay. You know, I became friends with you because we bonded over mutual interest, not because of your orientation. And it's, you know, I just don't get it. It's like, why do we have Pride Month? You know, we have one day to celebrate the people that died for us to keep our country. We have a minute's silence or 2 minutes silence, and yet they have a whole month. You know what I mean? Just, it baffles me. Absolutely baffles me. And I think it's the answers, like, obviously social media will only show you the things that give you attention. So generally when I'm watching social media clips of trans communities, generally it's a multicolored hair, nose pierced, glasses wearing, very obese, hardly anything wearing, hairy armpit fucker. It's generally that, and all they do is scream. And I'm like, they're not the people you want to represent you. Like, for instance, my band did a gig last year, Battle of the Bands, right? Metal to the Masses. We were never going to win, and that's fine. But before the whole show started, the promoters were like, look, we don't want no hate speeches, no discrimination, politicals, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, cool. The first band that came on were waving a pride flag. I didn't care that I couldn't figure out if the singer was even human. I don't know. But what angered me, and it really kind of set a tone for the whole night, was the fact that they did a song. Bear in mind, we're not allowed to do politicals or hate or anything, but they did a song called Straight White Male. After that song, I was like, you know what? There's no point. They started talking about politicians, like conservatives and all that. Then they did that male song, and I was like, if any of the other bands said something or did stuff like that, we'll be disqualified, but not them, because they get special treatment. Where's my special treatment? Where's my wife's special treatment? No one gets it. But we're the bad people because we don't accept it. Generally, if you ask the majority of people, they will say, I don't care. That's all I've got, because just talking about it is giving me depression. So, yeah. I just, to me, a man is a man, a woman is a woman. And I don't care how much testosterone or hormone replacements you have, you will never fully be that person. I don't care how many operations you have, you will never fully be that gender, that sex, if you will. Because I know they say, well, sex and genders are two different things. I'm not fucking dumb. Sex is what you have, what you were born as. Gender is, what do they call it? A social construct. Like men have to wear trousers, women have to have boobs. I could go on for ages with this. If we just stop being pricks and just united over the same thing, the world would be a better place. Let's be honest. There's more important things to talk about, but I just had to get it out there. But yeah, thank you for listening. Let's see how many people I fucked off today. Have a good one. Bye.